What's up, guys? Ben Burns from My Sports Stop here, as always, with Richie Donnell. Richie, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Today we are talking about some scouting reports.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about probably the most talked about prospect in the entire draft, Deshaun Watson, quarterback from Clemson.
Right.
Let's get right to it. This guy's a leader.
Yeah, right. And I think he should be. After the game he had against Alabama, I think he answered a lot of the questions that people were concerned about.
Yeah.
I mean, the accuracy is still there, but I think when you look at everything that you need out of a quarterback in terms of toughness, just ability to move around in the pocket, make plays, his clutch leadership.
Yes, that's a big question he answered.
And those things are important if you expect somebody to come in and take over the reins of the franchise.
We also talk about a lot in this day and age, quarterbacks running with the ball, mobility, athleticism. Watson is one of those players who can also run with the ball.
Right. Yeah, this year, I mean, he didn't necessarily do it as much, but if you look at his numbers last year, when he finished second in the Heisman running, he did top 1,000 yards rushing, which is something that he can do.
He has it in his arsenal.
Right. I think when you look at Deshaun Watson, he might not necessarily be as big, but he's going to be similar to, I think, what we saw to Dak Prescott this year.
Okay.
And I think that is really going to help him in this draft process, because I think a lot of people right now are rethinking as to why they didn't draft Dak Prescott.
Yes. And finally, this guy, maybe the smartest quarterback in this entire draft, has an incredible IQ. Should have a pretty good IQ when you go against Alabama once a year.
Yeah.
Accuracy.
Yeah.
Kind of a problem.
It was, but again, I think it's one of those things, like when you look at Eli Manning, doesn't necessarily make all the throws. There's some drops in there that are a part of that completion percentage. And Teddy Bridgewater, who you have him compared to, is actually was a similar mold, and they talked about his accuracy as well when he was getting drafted. But I think when you saw in the clutch moments against Alabama, as time's going down, and he's pushing the ball down the field to Mike Williams, you saw those big plays coming out of him, and I think he's a guy that kind of lives for that moment. Not to say that every throw is not important, because it is, but when throws need to be made in those clutch moments, he makes those throws.
All right. Deshaun Watson, he's 205 pounds, 6'2". He's probably not going to get much heavier just with his slim frame. That's about as big as he's going to get.
Yeah.
Could that be a problem?
I think when you talk about 205 pounds, one of the common names that I would bring up is Brett Favre. Brett Favre wasn't much bigger than 210 pounds, if that. He was maybe 210, 215, which I think Deshaun Watson will have no problem putting on about 5 to 10 pounds. And as you know, Brett Favre was the Iron Man of the NFL for so long, and set that record of consecutive games started, that I think, and with his toughness involved, that's kind of where you're going to see Deshaun Watson. Yeah, he's got the slight frame, but like I said, he played his freshman year on a torn ACL. Last year he was banged up, and now this year he just continued to take shot after shot after shot in that championship game, and he just came back and made another play after another play after another play.
Now, while a lot of people give Deshaun Watson first-round grade, there are some people here and there that say, well, he's no better than a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick. Where do you see him going in this draft?
Yeah, I think I think ultimately we're going to see him in the top 10, probably the first quarterback taken. If he slips past the top 10, I think you're making a mistake.
Okay.
Like I said, a lot of people are now regretting they didn't draft Dak Prescott. I think that first year last year with Minnesota winning the division and the way that Teddy Bridgewater played, I think a lot of people are regretting that they didn't take Teddy Bridgewater earlier in that draft as well. I think there's too much going for him, and that scouts are seeing, and too many teams regretting past decisions, that I think you're ultimately going to see somebody take a chance on Watson early.
I think two teams you got to look at, San Francisco at number 2, Chicago at number 3. Two teams that need quarterbacks.
Yes.
I would be surprised if he makes it past either of those teams.
Right.
And even after that, there are plenty of teams that would love to have Deshaun Watson as their quarterback week 1.
Right. I mean, you can talk about a team, like you said, as early as San Francisco, But, I mean, you even look at some of the teams that made the play. I mean, we just talked about on our show, Houston could that make things interesting, where they're a little bit later in the first round, but who knows? Maybe they do take a quarterback and decide to move in a different direction than Brock Osweiler.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to check out more of our videos and our website, mysports.com.